Hi, I'm Rick Glassman. I retired from, well, a total of over 30 years of teaching environmental education. And I'd like to talk to you a little bit more about what's in the water here. You guys may have done some of the chemical testing, and the chemical testing is very important to telling us about the health of the water system. But it is just a snapshot in time. Basically, when you take that water sample, that's what you're doing. You don't know the overall or the long-term health. And that's where the little critters come in play. They're called Benthic Macroinvertebrates. Benthic meaning bottom dwelling. So these things can't get up and move a lot. Macro, big enough to see, and invertebrate, well, not having backbones. And so what we do is we use these little nets here, and we go out and we do scooping. And when you do this, you want to get as many different habitats as you can. Check any of the riffle areas, the deeper ones, pick up stones and rocks and logs and look underneath those, and you'll be amazed at some of the things that you find. And what's really neat about this is we've been able to classify these into 4 different groups. Group 1 are very intolerant to pollution. So if you find a group 1, the water's not polluted, because they cannot handle pollution. They will not live there. Group 2, a little more pollution. Group 3 can handle a little bit more. Group 4 can handle a lot of pollution. And we have this little chart that we go by that kind of looks at it, and I'm sure they'll have it better for you. But like down here in Group 4, we have a rat tail maggot. Now if you want to find rat tail maggots, the best place to go is your local septic system or sewage plant and look in the ponds. They're one of the organisms that are digesting well, what's been flushed, and so they can definitely handle a lot of pollution. Now here's the great thing about these though. If you find a rat tail maggot, you don't have to freak out, because what we're looking for is diversity. Because what we're going to do is we're going to assess points for each one of these groups, and what we want to do is end up with a score of 23 or better, which will signify that this is an excellent water quality and it has a good long-term history. So Group 1 are really cool ones. These are the stoneflies, the mayflies, and we're going to look a little closer because we've caught some of these things. The Dobson flies, the Group 2 crayfish, and damselflies and dragonfly larvae. And so what I've done is I've already gone out and done some collecting, and we're going to take a look at some of the little creatures that we found, and then we'll add up our score at the end. Now the first little guy, oh, not so little. Very cool. This is the Dobson fly larva. And no, I am not going to hold them in my hand. If you notice, those are very strong jaws and pinchers, and yeah, if you hold them, they will bite. These are excellent bait for smallmouth fishing, which is another fish that lives in here. Now, if you notice that we don't have any fish in our chart. Fish are mobile. If the water's polluted, they're going to end up taking off. So they're not going to give us that long-term history. So we're going to put our Dobson fly larva back. So if I look at my chart, these are Group 1. So we got a Group 1 right off the bat. Not quite as impressive. But this is a stonefly larva. And right now he's kind of curled up because I just grabbed him. But when he opens up, there he goes. You'll notice that he has 2 tails and a lot of legs. And the stonefly, you're going to find them usually on the bark. The same with the Dobson fly larva inside the water. Once again, looking at my chart, we got another Group 1. So we got 2 Group 1s so far. And let's see if I can get this guy out of here. Notice that this is a little bit smaller, but this is a mayfly. And once he gets settled in, you're going to notice he has 3 tails to him. And the tails are going to be almost string-like. The reason I point this out is another animal in here is the damselfly larva, which will also have 3 tails, but they're like feathers. So you can tell the difference between them very easily by looking at their tails. And the mayfly, we have another Group 1. So this is looking really, really well right here. Put him back, and we're going to be talking more about this guy in a little bit. This is a mussel right here that we have. This one and this river is excellent water quality. We've already gotten a number of group 1s. The mussel is a group 2. This one here is actually an invasive introduced species. It's an Asian mussel. He's come in and he now lives in the river basically with all the other mussels out here. But he's just another one that we have. But he's a group 2. So we got a group 2 in here as well. We can put him back in there. Let's see here. Yes. I'm going to hold this one in my hands. The snails. Now, what you want to do with the snails is you want to hold them up by the point facing up and the spiral facing you, because you want to know if it's a right or left-handed snail. Now, you guys probably didn't know snails had hands, did you? Well, they don't, just so you know. But if it spirals towards your right hand, that means he has gills. He's breathing the water in. He's a group 1. If he's a left-handed snail, where it means the spiral goes towards your left hand, he has lungs. He's not breathing the water, and he's a group 4. This actually, if I turn him around and you do it right, you can see it spiraled towards my right hand when I was holding it to me, and it is a group 1. So far we've got 4 group 1s and a group 2. We're looking at things. And now, I got a cute little guy. If I can catch this guy, he's fast. He's really fast. It's one of the many water beetles. We may not even catch him. Forget him. No. How many people are betting I can't catch him? Just curious. I should have put him in a bigger dish. Haha. But I got this little guy, and you can see he's just twirling all over the place. He is a beetle that is aquatic, but you're not going to find him on any of our charts. And you'll probably catch a lot of beetles when you're checking out the water. They're very common in our water systems, both not only streams and rivers, but our lakes. But this guy actually breathes air. The beetles have a hard shell, which is 2 of their 4 wings. They basically stick their abdomen up above the water, close their 2 hard shells, and have an air bubble around their abdomen. They got a little scuba tank, basically. So even though you'll catch a lot of these, you're not going to find them on your chart because they're breathing air, not the water itself. I got one little other guy that we've got caught here. A little crayfish. Crayfish are group 2. This one is another introduced invasive species. He's a rusty crayfish. And you've noticed he's lost one of his claws. Probably some fish tried to eat him and he got a claw, but that was it. It will grow back. So it's no big deal. It will grow back for him. But the rusty crayfish is here because of fishermen. They're very common down in the southern part of our country. And they were farmed and brought up here for fish bait, because crayfish are also great for catching bass and other fish. And when the fisherman's done, they're like, well, I don't want these crayfish anymore. They just throw them overboard. Don't do that. That's how we get a lot of our invasive species. And the rusty crayfish has come in. He's naturalized. He is part of this community. He is never going away. The thought is he is a little more aggressive and can outcompete our native ones, but he still does hold the role. And once again, group 2 in here. So these are just some of the things that you can find in our water system. The spot that I chose doesn't have any real good gravel riffles here. It's all sand, which is constantly changing and moving. So a lot of the critters that I hope to find here, like the damselflies, the dragonflies, and even more crayfish and clams and mussels, they're not going to be living right here. I'd have to pick another spot with a little more riffle and stone action, maybe some more vegetation. But we go back to our chart here. We got a stonefly, mayflies. Oh, I almost forgot. You look at this going, this is a stick. It has little prickly things sticking out of it. You can see one of them right here, a couple of them right here. These are caddisflies larvae. And they attach themselves and they make their own little cocoon. Oh, kind of cool. We got a stonefly living on it as well. The caddisfly makes their own little cocoon. There's all different species of them. Some use vegetation, some use gravel from the bottom or sand, but they make it as they have a little hiding place for themselves. But if you pick up the sticks, you'll find them. Look at there. Dobsonfly larvae as well, all resting on this stick that I had found. So that's pretty good. So we have a caddisfly, we have the Dobsonfly, we had a right-handed snail. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, your math. Everybody ready for math? There were 4 points apiece. So we got 5 times 4. What is that total?
20.
All right, 20. Awesome. We caught a mussel and a crayfish. Those are worth 3 points apiece. 3 times 2?
6.
6. Good, good. 20 plus 6, 26. We were looking at a score of 23 or more to get excellent. So it's not just finding, if I had just found one group 1, that would have been poor water quality. So it's the complete diversity that you're looking for. Routinely, the Tippecanoe River scores between 40 and 50 without any problem. It is a very diverse, very unique watershed. Thanks.
Very good. Nice.